Hello world, hello Philippines. And for today, we're going to have a lecture video regarding ecological literacy. In many places, people are struck and devastated by various natural disasters, locally, nationally, and globally. Thus, disaster preparedness and risk management have been the targets of the government and educational institutions through various plans and programs. In this case, environmental awareness has to be reiterated and strengthened in schools and integrated in the curriculum, while everyone has to be, of course, oriented on taking care of and sustaining the environment through ecologically practices. For today's learning outcomes, we're going to have the following. The first is explain the working definition of ecological literacy and its role in developing a sustainable environment. The second is distinguish among environmental literacy, ecoliteracy, and ecological literacy, and of course, describe an ecoliterate person. Then the third is cited and explain the 5 ways to develop ecoliteracy. The fourth is articulated how ecoliteracy can be integrated in the curriculum, practiced in the school, and demonstrated in the classroom. And of course, lastly, drawn relevant life lessons and significant values from a personal experience on initiating or participating in an environmental activity. Probably you will ask, of course, what is ecological literacy? But first, we're going to have this quotation by John Lilly in 1994. According to him, the development of ecological understanding is not simply another subject to be learned, but a fundamental change in the way we see the world. And talking of ecological literacy, it also referred to as ecoliteracy, and it means it is the ability to understand the natural system that make life on Earth possible. Another is it is a form of transformative education that requires shifts rather in 3 related areas like perception, which is seeing, conception, which is knowing, and the third is action or doing. Another is that ecological literacy refers to an individual understanding not only of ecological concepts, but also of his or her place in the ecosystem. That's according to Mina and Allison in 2009. And the term ecological literacy was first introduced by David Orr in 1989 in his essay entitled Ecological Literacy. According to David Orr, he indicated that knowing, caring, and practical competence form the foundation for ecological literacy. Again, according to David Orr, he indicated that knowing, caring, and practical competence form the foundation for ecological literacy. And he pointed out that the root of environmental crisis is the individual's inability to think about ecological patterns, the systems of causation, and long-term effects of human actions. In other words, ecological literacy is meant to enable conscious and participant citizens to make informed decisions or take actions on environmental issues. That is according to Jordan et al. In 2009. Champion of course, ecoliteracy advocates that the new educational paradigm emerging around, of course, the 3 things. By the way, 4. The first is, of course, poles of holism, the systems thinking, sustainability, and of course, complexity. There are actually 11 basic ecological concepts according to Climo in 1991. So the first one is ecology is the part of biology that, of course, examines the interrelationship between organisms and, of course, the environment. As, of course, practitioners of a basic science, ecologists seek an accurate understanding of natural phenomena through observation and experimentation. At the same time, ecologists seek to utilize the gathered information towards, of course, preserving the ability of the earth to sustain all forms of living, and of course, including us, the humans. The second one is in nature, a variety of physical and biological factors influence an organism's ability to grow and reproduce in any one place. And the third one, there is, of course, variability. When we say variability, it means changeability. Okay, in the way that, of course, different species respond to the environment, and that, of course, causes them to have environmental or indifferent, rather, different ranges. However, a species, of course, actual presence on a site depends upon its ability to disperse onto that site, as well as its ability to survive its environment. So always remember, of course, that your presence can, of course, be dependent on how you disperse onto that site, and of course, on how you're going to survive in its environment. The fourth one is that organisms of a given species that occur together comprise a population. And populations can grow, but various, of course, environmental factors prevent populations from growing indefinitely. Thus, of course, populations can also decline to the point of extinction. And it is through, of course, loss or death. The fifth one is that species that have similar responses to the environment are typically found together in assemblage called communities. And take note, each community is unique, but those occurring in similar environments are generally similar to one another. Adjacent communities often blend into each other. The sixth is that on any site, the organisms interact in various ways. Some help each other while others are harmful. Okay, in these two classification, where do you belong? Are you the one who help others, or are you the harmful one? Number 7 is all of the organisms on a site, along with its physical environment, comprise an ecosystem. Number 8 is that all ecosystem functions depend upon energy. So in any given ecosystem, organisms called producers obtain energy from the non-living environment, which is usually the sun, and of course convert it into a biologically useful form. Other organisms called consumers obtain that energy by eating the producers and or other consumers. Number 9 is that the bodies of all organisms are built from chemical elements called nutrients. In any ecosystem, producers obtain various nutrients in the form of gases and minerals from the air, soil, and or water, and convert them into biologically useful forms. Consumers, of course, obtain these nutrients by eating producers and or other consumers. And we have also decomposers that convert the nutrients back into their non-biological form. The 10 is that ecosystems are constantly changing, either rapidly or slowly. So you can, of course, change either rapidly or slowly. Those changes can be due to changes in physical factors, to the arrival of local extinction of the component species, to the organisms processing through their life cycles, to altered relationships between the species and to the species changing by evolution. Lastly, more than any other species, humans have changed the Earth ecosystem. Again, more than any other species, humans have changed the Earth ecosystems. At present, of course, ecologists are particularly concerned about preservation of biological diversity, the effects of global climate change, and the ability of ecosystems to sustain life. We have 5 ways to develop ecoliteracy. So the first is develop empathy for all forms of life. So at basic level, all organisms, including humans, need food, water, space, and conditions that support dynamic equilibrium to survive. Again, all of us, humans, need food, water, space, and conditions that support dynamic equilibrium to survive. From that perspective, we can expand our circles of empathy to consider the quality of life of another or other life forms, feel genuine concern about their well-being, and act on that concern. The second one is that embrace sustainability as community practice. Organisms do not survive in isolation. Again, organisms do not survive in isolation. Instead, the web of relationships within any living community determines its collective ability to survive and thrive. The third is that make the invisible visible. Historically, and for some cultures still in existence today, the path between a decision and its consequences was short and visible. If a homesteading family cleared their land of trees, for example, they might soon experience flooding, right? Soil erosion, a lack of shade, and a huge decrease in biodiversity. The fourth is that anticipate unintended consequences. Many of the environmental crises that we face today are the unintended consequences of human behavior. Example, fossil fuels. Only recently has the public become aware of the downsides of our dependency on fossil fuels, such as pollution, international conflicts, and of course, the inevitable climate change. The last is that understand how nature sustains life. Ecoliterate people recognize that nature has sustained life for ages, okay, which is called eternities. As a result, they have turned to nature as their teacher and learned several crucial tenets. 3 of those tenets are particularly imperative to ecoliterate living. The first is that ecoliterate people have learned from nature that all living organisms are members of a complex, interconnected web of life, and that those members inhabiting a particular place depend upon their interconnectedness for survival. Second, ecoliterate people tend to be more aware that systems exist on various levels of scale. In nature, organisms are members of systems nested within other systems, from the micro level to the macro level. Finally, ecoliterate people collectively practice a way of life that fulfills the needs of the present generation while simultaneously supporting nature's inherent ability to sustain life into the future. We have here teaching kids to become, of course, ecoliterate. So the first is we need to remember that Earth Day is April 22 every year. So according to the Earth Day Network, over 1 billion people in 192 countries participate in Earth Day events, making it the largest civic observance in the world. The second one is reading. Two must be read for children of all ages. The Lorax by Dr. Seuss and Everybody Needs a Rock by Bird Baylor. This is an excellent introduction to environmental studies and connecting kids to nature. Third is we need to explore mythology, myths, legends, and folklores from cultures around the world and through time explain how the world and man came to be in their present form. How did peoples of other cultures explain the existence of the seasons, the sun, the ocean, the land, plant, animals, and weather, the stars, and more? The fourth is that we need to plant a garden. It can be as small as, of course, your windowsill, or big enough to grow food for your home or school. You can also try window farming, vertical gardens, and of course, hydroponics. The fifth is visit nature areas like zoos, botanical gardens, and animal rescue centers. Okay, become involved in the field projects such as habitat restoration. Number 7 is travel. You need to travel via Google Earth to view the landscape in other regions and countries. So before, it's hard for us, of course, to know, okay, about a certain place, a region, for example, Baguio City. Okay, so, but now, of course, using Google Earth and, of course, the search engine, you can now travel around the world. The number 8 is the nature photography. So you get a camera and, of course, go outside. Find butterflies, worms, bugs, wildflowers, trees, and animals, or focus on shapes, colors, and textures. Photography, of course, is a nice way, okay, on how you're going to mingle with nature. Number 9 is plant flowers. Take note, flowers' importance in nature is everywhere. They can feed insects, birds, animals, and humans, then provide natural medicines for humans and some animals, and aid in a plant's reproduction by enticing, of course, outside pollinators. Take note, without flowers, plants would merely be green, and the world would be a duller place. Again, without flowers, plants would merely be green, and the world would be a duller place. Number 10 is that go camping. So we need to enjoy being fully immersed in nature, experience the wonderment of the stars, go nature hiking, pick berries, go fishing, tell stories, by, of course, the fire, go canoeing, and, of course, swimming. The last is that create a seed collage. So we need to gather seeds from a garden or from forest or fields. We need to arrange the seeds in a pattern on paper using different sizes and shapes to create different elements in your art. We have, of course, the characteristics of an ecoliterate person. Let's check if you are, okay, a person which is, of course, ecoliterate. The first one is you should be a reflective learner. A reflective learner understands the value and, of course, limitations of human knowledge, the power and limitations of the natural world. The second one is an inquirer. He actively, of course, secures the basic skills and knowledge in order to carry out ecological responsibilities. The third is ecologically responsible. You should embody, of course, ecological ideals in daily life. The fourth is that a person should be intelligently self-directed. Okay, a person should be engaged or she should be engaged in self-appraisal, Okay, then sets new, of course, learning objectives, develops plan to achieve those objectives, and of course, reflect on the whole process. Another one is morally responsible. Of course, it governs actions with precepts, like, of course, responsibility, seeking justice, and equality for all that maintain harmonious relationships. And lastly, seek self-transcendence or self-greatness. So it moves, of course, a person moves beyond the limitations of personal ego by identifying with human groups. Of course, it talks about the past and the future, the flora and the fauna, the ecosphere that transcend, of course, the individual life in scope and time. In this lesson, we have also the greening initiatives in colleges and universities, and that's according to Alata and Ignacio in 2019. And of course, a green campus is defined as a place where environmentally responsible practice and education go hand in hand, and where environmentally responsible tenets are borne out by example. So the Green Campus institution is a model environment or environmental community where operational functions, business practices, academic programs, and peoples are interlinked, providing educational and practical value to the institution, the region, and of course, the world. We have, of course, significant benefits that we can learn from this initiative. So the first is we have environmental and economical sustainability, reputation as, of course, a leader through example. Then we have also economic benefits, real life work experiences for the students, and improved quality of life in the campus. Take note, my dear students, that a green campus is a cleaner, safer, and healthier place to study, live, and work. Again, a green campus is, number one, a cleaner. Second is safer. The third is healthier place to study, live, and work. I have here characteristics or some characteristics of a green school. Like, for example, San Philippine University in Iloilo City. Okay, it's a green school or university. Number one, it protects health. Schools built with, of course, more daylighting, better ventilation, and healthy green building materials and paints are healthier to students or for students and staff. The second is that it increases students' performance. Student test scores can improve up to, of course, 20% when students learn in green classrooms. The third, it serves energy and money. It saves rather, okay, not serve. Okay, it saves energy and money. So operating costs for energy and, of course, water in a green school can be reduced by 20% to 40%. The fourth one is it reduces carbon emissions. Green schools significantly reduce carbon dioxide emissions. The fifth is that it reduces water usage. On an average, a green school reduces water usage by 32%. That has direct savings for the building. The sixth one is that it improves teacher retention. A green school can reduce teacher turnover as much as 5%, which improves student learning and school community and can result in financial savings for the school. The seventh is that it improves daily attendance. It reduces, of course, absenteeism by 15%. And the next is it provides a unique educational opportunity. Schools can become teaching tools and important features of science, math, and environmental curriculum when green features. Advanced technology and design in schools are used to motivate students about learning real-world applications of green technologies and using schools and schoolyards as living laboratories. The next is that it creates jobs or green jobs. Investing in creating green schools is an investment in green jobs, including green construction, building product, manufacturing, and green architecture. And lastly, it improves equity. Greening public schools creates an opportunity to improve the health and educational settings for all students amidst diverse identities and needs. It's not just probably for public students or public school, but of course, in the private school, it's also beneficial. Again, there are 10 characteristics of a green school. The first is it protects health, it increases student performance, it saves energy and money, it reduces carbon emissions, it reduces water usage, it improves teacher retention, it improves daily attendance, it improves a unique educational opportunity, it creates green jobs, and lastly, it improves equity. Now, we continue with our 7 environmental principles. The first principle is that nature knows best. One natural process that needs, of course, serious attention is nutrient cycling. In nature, nutrients pass from the environment to the organisms and back to the environment. Any disruption in the cycle can bring about imbalance. Again, any disruption in the cycle can bring about imbalance. Our nature knows everything. Sometimes it knows what is best for us. It's very true. I really like this statement. Sometimes it knows what is best for us. Okay, the second one is that all forms of life are important. Each organism plays a fundamental role in nature, since such occupational or functional position, otherwise known as niche, cannot be simultaneously occupied by more than one species. It is apparent that all living things must be considered as invaluable in the maintenance of homeostasis in the ecosystem. Homeostasis in the ecosystem. Next is that everything is connected to everything else. This principle is best exemplified by the concept of the ecosystem. Any outside interference may result in an imbalance and the deterioration of the system. Next is that everything changes. Do you agree? Yes. It is said that the only permanent thing is change. Our world is constantly changing and nothing is permanent anymore. Even each day, humans try to change their living to fit into, of course, the world. The next is that everything must go everywhere. When a piece of paper is thrown away, it disappears from sight, but it does not cease to exist. It ends up elsewhere. And if everything goes somewhere and nothing goes nothing, it has its own way to go. Next is ours is a finite Earth. Just how long would, of course, the Earth be able to sustain demands on its resources? This is a question that needs serious reflection. Unless the factors of population growth, lifestyle, and polluting technologies are checked, the collapse of the Earth might be inevitable. The next is nature is beautiful and we are stewards of God's creation. Ken, this is the last. Lastly, nature is beautiful and we are stewards of God's creation. Do you agree all? Okay, yes, we are of course the stewards of the nature. And according to this, among all creatures, humans are the only ones made in God's image and have been given the right to have dominion over all his creations. We are made not to rule the world, but to help, of course, the world. Humans are God's creation, and we need to take care of everything. Again, humans are God's creation. That is why we need to take care of everything. Thank you so much for listening and for, of course, being with us through all this time. This is Dr. Maridel Ambos saying thank you so much and see you in another video or lecture video regarding this lesson or this subject. Thank you and God bless.